Hi everyone, I'm back. It's, God, what is today? It all blends together. It's Wednesday. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. God. Well, you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. And I am at work. I'm just heading back from a delivery. I've just kind of decided that rather than try to take the time to blur off all the logos and stuff on my shirt, I'm going to wear this stupid long sleeve shirt, even though it's the summer. And then I can just take my shirt off when I do these video blogs. And I'm not going to do them like on the way back from every delivery or anything. But, I figured this is good a way as any to start. Oh, this is an interesting situation up here. I forgot about this. Okay. There isn't really any way to see oncoming traffic, so... But, okay, there we go. Yeah, anyway, now I gotta remember how the heck I got here in the first place. What the heck was I talking about? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, just kind of some of the logistical problems with doing this. So I did upload a video yesterday, and I had to, this is really interesting, I had to save it in Windows Movie Maker, which is kind of a little bit of a lengthy process. I mean, it's not a big deal, it's not hard to do certainly, but for some reason I couldn't upload it either directly from my phone or just from the file, and I don't know why. I don't know if my phone does record MP4s, so that might be why, but I don't know, because I'm afraid I just don't know much about that stuff. Anyhow, I'm still kind of playing with it, and it's going to be a little, choppy at first until I really figure out what I'm doing with it. And again, I just am not around people who do a lot of this kind of stuff. They're not into this stuff, and I always wanted some really, talented, skilled person to just kind of sit down with me and say, hey, here's how you do this stuff. But that just is not going to happen, I think. And, it's the good news is it's pretty easy. I should be able to figure it out. It's just a matter of playing with it. It has gotten so much easier than, back in the day when it was just impossible and computers didn't have enough, space to do videos and stuff. So the good news is there's software now for just about everything, and there's a bit of a learning curve with the software, but it isn't like, say you want to build a website, you can just get a web program, and I know there's a couple of free ones that, like, here you go, here's your website, here's how you can build it. It's really pretty easy. There's a bit of a learning curve, but it isn't like you need to know HTML or anything, so I guess that's good. I've been too complacent about it for far too long. I just haven't really done what I need to do to kind of make it happen, and so that's going to be what I'm going to be working on for the next couple of weeks, and just, I'll get better at it as I go, I'll learn as I go, and these first few videos are probably going to be pretty choppy, and the quality's not going to be great. It's interesting because my phone actually records really pretty good quality videos, and it's not a terribly expensive phone. I just got a sort of decent smartphone, nothing terribly fancy. I don't need anything really fancy, but it's amazing what you can do now with a really not fancy smartphone. I mean, it's kind of incredible. So those are all things I didn't get nearly as much done yesterday as I had planned because a buddy of mine called me up, and he and I just went out and talked, and I haven't seen him in a while. I have no social life anymore. Really don't. It's depressing. I spend all my time at work, and I just don't have time for my friends, and I hate it. I don't know. I've talked about this. Well, I guess I haven't, because on some of the videos that I didn't upload, but there was a time when I was sort of in college and just going to school and not working, and that was kind of a wonderful thing, except, it didn't really go anywhere, and I miss it. I liked it. I mean, it's great to just be able to sort of take classes and stuff you're interested in and hope shit'll work out, and I was swimming a mile every day. There's a swimming pool at Salt Lake Community College, which is no longer there, but they built a library on top of it, so I guess if they're using it for a good purpose, but I miss that place. I used to go swimming, and I just felt great about myself. And I was I was a little more social. I was interacting with people a little more. Somehow I got to get back to that, but obviously, I don't know. It's a hard thing to know how to do. I mean, I just spend every fucking second at work, and I think a lot of people are right there with me. I think a lot of people, that's one reason I wanted to vlog about it, because I know I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of people are in exactly that position. I don't know anybody, or hardly anybody, that works a 40-hour work week. Most of the people I know are working 50 or 60 hours. And I know people that have, their hours aren't consistent, so they may work 60 hours one week and then 30 hours the next week, and, they never know. But, it's just hard to earn a living, Anyhow, I'm back at work, so I'll probably wait till later in the day to do a second video, but I will be back. Well, hello there again, everybody. I am off work. I had to go run a quick errand and come back to work, and now I'm leaving for real. So, thought I would just record my final vlog for the day. Yeah, we weren't that busy. I think I took 4 deliveries total today, so that's really kind of sad. But it's always the schools just got out around here, so it's kind of that's always a really slow pizza week. I think just people are out of town and celebrating and doing whatever. So hopefully business will pick up. Here, God knows I need the money. I'm afraid just not making the money I need to make, but. C'est la vie, you can't win them all. I was kind of thinking about doing laundry tonight, but I don't want to. Especially because I don't know, it sounds like an incredibly lazy thing, but I'd have to lug all my stuff down to the laundry room in my building, and I don't want to do that, and yeah, it's not going to happen tonight. So there it is. So let's see, what can I rant about on my way home? Any number of things, I suppose. Yeah, what was I talking about the other day on one of my videos? I was kind of talking about rents and how high rent is getting everywhere, and how there are all these new apartment complexes springing up everywhere, and what an interesting phenomenon it is to me. There was this period kind of after the mortgage crisis when everybody was renting, and you could, if you could qualify, you could get a really good mortgage because nobody could afford to buy a house, and it was kind of thought by now that would have turned around on itself. People would be buying more and renting less, but that's not happening. People are renting and not buying, and I don't know how much of that is fallout from the mortgage crisis and how much of that is just kind of the way it is. I remember way back in the day I had a buddy who had an apartment almost literally across the street from the U, and he and his girlfriend lived there, and they paid $500 a month. It wasn't like a really big place, but right across from the U for $500 a month. It's kind of unimaginable. In fact, there was a unit available in the basement in that same building for $450. And I was looking at it one day. I was kind of thinking about renting it. It was like, oh, this would be really nice. This would be really wonderful to be able to live here. And I just couldn't quite afford it at the time. I was like, I just can't. It's just funny because I pay more than that now. And I live in a 2-bedroom place with a friend of mine because I just can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment. And I think about that. This was back in 2000, 2001, so it was a long time ago, but to think geez, I could have rented a 1-bedroom apartment across the street from the U for $450 a month, and now that same apartment would cost, God, I don't know, it would cost a hell of a lot more than $450. It wouldn't surprise me if it's twice that now, if it's $900, just because of the proximity to the U, and that really does kind of mean everything. So, yeah. I don't know, I think everybody sort of thinks, well, I'll vote for Hillary because she'll make sure it doesn't happen, or I'll vote for the Donald because I know he'll straighten us out, he'll get it fixed, and I hope one of those guys knows how to fix it, because you know who doesn't? This guy right here doesn't know how to fix it. So if I were running for office, nobody would vote for me because I'd be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Raising taxes, lowering taxes, I don't know. there it is. I do not know what to do about it. And I think, part of it is it's population. People need a place to live. And it really is generally, I think, cheaper to rent than to own a house because, at least if you're renting, you just kind of have the rent payment and maybe, you get the utilities and stuff. But you just have these kind of steady payments. It isn't like, oh my God, my house needs a new roof and what am I going to do? Because that's somebody else's problem if you're renting. So I guess that's one nice thing about it. I don't know. Would I buy my own place? If I could afford it, sure. But would I don't know. Would I spend the money? Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call for me. It really is. So, yeah. I do know, it's funny, I'm actually going to dinner with one of my former coworkers, and she has this little condos. It's really small. It's just kind of 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and I think there's like a kitchen, a living room, and maybe a little dining room. And that's kind of all there is. But I think, like something like that for me would be great. It'd be, it'd be a little small for 2 people. I mean, it really is smaller than my apartment. But I think, yeah, man, if I could just have a place like that and if I could afford to pay a mortgage, I don't know what her mortgage is, but I think, yeah, it'd be a great little, I don't know, just a great way to live, just have a little place. I'd like to live alone. I mean, not that my roommate's great. One of our mutual friends said, compared to living with my roommate to living with Jesus, and it kind of is, like, it is, like, we don't get in each other's way much, we don't step on each other's toes much, and that matters when you're living with somebody. But it'd be nice to live on my own. It'd be nice to have my own place and just kind of, I don't know, have my own space. Never really had that. But, again, I think that's a thing. A lot of people are in that boat with me. A lot of people have not ever lived on their own. It's expensive. It's really hard to do. Even, I think, Salt Lake, I think living in Salt Lake is a little cheaper than living elsewhere in the country there. Lord knows there are far more expensive places to live than Salt Lake. But still, even at that, it's just, it's hard, trying to live alone. It's trying to cover all those expenses yourself. It's really, really tough. And, I'm such an introvert. There was a time when I was kind of living at home and it was like, I don't want to have roommates. I mean, for all that's worth, I'd rather live at home and pay rent. And that was just kind of how I felt about it. I certainly never have gotten to a point where I've made enough money to live on my own. So there it is. And again, a lot of people, I mean, my roommate has a college degree, has a pretty decent job. About half my friends do, but I actually have a college degree. I have an associate's degree in English for all the freaking good that does me. But, that's one of those things. I mean, as useless as the degree is, I don't regret going to college. I regret the way that I did it. I kind of just dropped everything and went. I just didn't know what else to do. I was kind of in a quagmire at work, and I was getting very, very close to the sort of magic glass ceiling, at least at the company. I was working for 3M at the time, and 3M is a really good company to work for, but there just weren't that many places I could go without a degree. There weren't that many places I could go without, specialized training or having a lot more skills than what I had. I was just kind of working in the mailroom and low man on the totem pole, and I mean, for being the low man on the totem pole, boy, they sure treated me well. But I just realized, like, geez, there's nowhere to go from here. Ironically, I had tuition reimbursement. That's one of the things I could have done, is gone to school. But it's like, when? I just kind of worked myself to exhaustion every day, kind of like I do now. It's one thing that hasn't changed. And I wasn't managing my money. Not to say I'm managing it very well now, but better than I did back then. Which, talk about damning with faint praise, that's just a thing I've never been good at. A lot of people can do budgets and really stick to a budget, and I'm no good. I've tried. I just can't seem to do it. So it's one thing about delivering pizzas, you know, at least you're getting paid more or less every day, unless like yesterday you don't take any deliveries, but but you usually leave with cash in hand, so that's kind of a nice thing, you know. It's like you don't have to like go borrow money to buy groceries. You can usually kind of like, well, okay, you know, I made $20 or whatever today. I can that'll do for today. And yeah, that's one nice thing about this job, I guess. No need for payday loans. Usually, I say that, but there are people that do it. So yeah, I can't remember. See, I'm just doing this stream of consciousness thing. I don't remember how I even got on that subject, but yeah, living alone, it would be nice. But I don't know. Like I said, just God, nobody does it. I'm trying to think if I know anybody who lives alone. I don't think I do. My sister was for a while, but it was killing her. It was too expensive, and she was living in California, so so yeah. Oh, but school, yeah. You know, what I should have done, and I didn't even realize this was a thing you could do. I didn't realize this was a possibility. What I should have done, because I did not do well in high school. And I didn't know why. You know, it was like, what's so difficult about high school? I even went to an alternative school where they made it about as easy as they could. And I just couldn't get through it. I won't get into it. You know, there's a lot of things in hindsight that I realize about that I didn't at the time, and that nobody wanted to talk to me about at the time. So, yeah, you know, I wound up dropping out of high school, and so I wasn't that eager to just run into college. But what I should have done, and I didn't know this was even a thing you could do, I should have audited classes. Auditing, in some ways, it's kind of a bad deal because you have to pay for the class, you just don't get any credit for it. It still costs you the same as, and even though, you know, like I said, I had tuition reimbursement, they certainly would not have paid for me to do that. They wouldn't have paid for me to go unless I was really pursuing a degree. But what I should have done is audited, like a single class, just found a class in something that, you know, looked interesting to me, and audited the class. And I should have done that, I think, a couple of times to kind of get into the swing of it. It should have been more of a transition. I could have transitioned into going into school rather than just dropped everything and go to school. But that was not, you know, I don't know. That was still, I mean, that was, I finally, when I finally made that decision to kind of drop everything and go back to school, it was in 2001. I didn't even get into school. I didn't even really do much of anything until the following year, until 2002. But I quit my job in December 2001, and I shouldn't have done that. I could have transitioned, you know, more. I could have just audited some classes, kind of see how it goes, because just dropping everything and going to school is not a good way to do that, especially if you're somebody like me who struggled really hard in high school and didn't really get anything out of it. I certainly didn't, you know, learn anything. I don't know, driver's ed maybe. I guess that I can say that. So my old driver's ed teacher, if he's out there, Mr. Spencer, if you're out there, I'm using the skill that you taught me to earn a living. I don't think that he would approve of me vlogging and driving at the same time, although I don't know. I wonder where that guy is. I don't know. I miss that guy. Oh well. He was a fun teacher. I remember this once. I remember I was bitching to him about my family. I was just pissing and moaning. I was saying, God damn, you know, nothing I ever do is ever going to be good enough for them. I could invent warp drive, cure AIDS and cancer, and instigate world peace, and it would not be good enough for those people. He looked at me and shrugged and said, well, do it anyway. I like that. I really do. I think that kind of, it's like, yeah, you know, do it anyway. I like that. That's me. I do a lot of pissing and moaning about things that are, you know, outside my control. I guess the only reason I'm talking about a lot of this stuff is, I don't know who might be watching this or who might be interested or who might care, but, I come from a family where everything is so rigid and everything's so got to be just this one way and it can't be any other way, and thank God it can't, because kids can't play video games all day and this kind of thing. And I guess if I had one message I wish I could get out to everybody before they die, it's that it doesn't have to be that way. It's not that way. There are people who see the world in those terms, but that's not the real world. I could have, taken continuing ed classes at night, and I could have audited college classes at night, and just, and tried to figure out a way to make college work before I just jumped into it with both feet. And that's what I did. I thought there's no way that I can work full-time and go to school even part-time. I actually did that for a bit in high school. The high school, the high school that I went to, the way it was set up, you were out of school by 11:30. I can't remember what our start time was. It was like 7:45 or something, and then by 11:30 you were out. And so you could, and that's part of the reason they set that up that way, because a lot of their students were like single mothers and people who were living on their own. They were emancipated or whatever, and they wanted those kids to be able to work and continue to go to school. And for a short while, I was doing that. I was and working more or less full time, and it did not go well. That was a really tough thing. At 17, I was trying to work and go to school, and it just, God, I just was not sleeping and not eating very well, and didn't have any free time, and was really stressed out all the time. And yeah, so very recently I tried to do something similar and failed again. If I hadn't, I might very well be teaching by now. But alas, I don't know, I've just never been good at it, and God knows I've tried. But that's the point. And what I'd love to do, frankly, is get back up to community college, get back into school, and just do what I should have done way back then. Good news is I'm not dead yet. I'd love to get back up there and just find a class in, I don't know, web design or computer programming, something I haven't really explored, but that I've always kind of wanted to, just audit it and see how it goes, just see what I can learn from it. Because I figure if nothing else, I'll learn something from it. And I don't know if it's a thing I'll be able to use to earn money or whatever, but I don't know, at some point education has to matter at least as much as obtaining a degree. And I don't know, I'll tell you, obtaining a degree never did me any good, but I won't say that being in school never did me any good, because I think being in school did do me some good. Again, I wish I'd done it differently, I wish I'd gone about it differently, but I didn't. And being there it really does expand your horizons, if nothing else. It makes you think about things in ways that you hadn't thought about things before. I even realized I'm not as horrible at math as I always thought. I always thought I was terrible at math, and I'm not great at it, but I'm not as bad as I thought either. There are ways of approaching. I don't know. For some reason, one of my textbooks in college just kind of described math as logic with numbers attached, because that's really all it is. And I don't know why, but something clicked. It was like, oh, okay. And I began to sort of work at it in a more concrete way. Not so much because I was doing math, but suddenly it was like, well, what I'm doing is logic exercises. And that's kind of how I thought about it. And that kind of helped me to, I don't know, to do it a little better, to focus on it a little easier. And it gave it purpose that it hadn't had before. I mean, one of the things that adults love to say is this weird cryptic shit like, well, you never know what's going to be useful and all this crap. So you have to study algebra because we think it's important, and what do you think? Oh, fuck you, we don't care. Well, maybe you should study algebra, because what algebra is logic with numbers attached. And if you can understand the algebra, then you can understand logic, and you are far, far harder to manipulate and control at that point. So that was a thing that just kind of clicked with me in college anyway. Anyway, I am approaching this place where I'm going to eat dinner, possibly drink a beer, and that is going to do it for me tonight, I think, and I will see you guys. I'll try to get this video uploaded tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow.